when people want to really juice things, Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, I did the consult for their launch last year for the mastermind launch, right? So when people want to do things in the big way, there's a few guys in the world who they can call that can help them with that, and I happen to be one of them. If I don't have that advantage that we talked about, I don't want to play. So a lot of my success in this business, Matt, is I know when to engage. If I'm smart about anything, it's I don't play games which I lose. Like I only play games which I can win. That's why I win a lot. Like I don't want to sell something that you have to squint to see the value. I want something that is such a game changer that even somebody who wasn't good could sell it well. So then you take somebody who is good, they can sell it extraordinarily well. The mistake people make with software, Matt, or really anything for that matter, is they focus on the supply side and not on the demand side. So they say, okay, in order to do this, I got to create this thing, aka supply it. So I got to develop all this stuff. I got to make all these things, and then I will go out there and test demand for it. We start on the demand side. Before the product is even finished, we create demand for it, and then we put it in the hand.
By talking about it, or just
yeah. So we're in the process of doing this right now. And one of the members, he created this AI stuff. And so he gets on a Wednesday call, because we do calls every Wednesday, and he shows it. So before that, I did not think this was possible. After that call, I knew it was possible. So I reached out to him and said, let's do a deal. And so we negotiated it. We're 99.9% done with that deal. So this is me marketing somebody else's creation. And then once I started playing with his stuff, I said, now that I know it's possible, now I can solve for it. So then I started solving for it myself, right? So here's the biggest insight that I've discovered.
Hi, I'm Matt Levenhagen, founder of Unified Web Design, Unified Plugins, and your host of the Builders Podcast. Here on The Builders, our goal is to uncover the first principles behind building businesses, products, and services. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. And if you find value in our content, a like, share, or review is always appreciated. Let's dive in and explore the roots of innovation and progress together. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Jason Fladlien. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Matt, it is a pleasure and it is an honor to be here.
Wow. It's an honor to have you. So Jason is well known for webinars. I believe you've done like $250 million worth of sales through webinars, something like that. It's probably like half a billion by now.
Yeah, we just did a couple major projects. So I kind of $250 million after that. The number's already so big you can't even fathom it. So we just you quit counting after a while, I guess.
Yeah, that's totally. But and I know Jason. We go way back.
14 years, I want to say.
Something like that.
Maybe 15 years. I think 15 years, Matt. Yeah, we used to do Practical Profits together.
That's right. Yeah, we did. Right. And and then I was helping you out at Rapid Crush for a little while. Mm-hmm. And we built some stuff there together, which was fun. Yep. I got some good memories.
Done high quality work. I vouch for Matt's quality 100%.
Well, thank you, sir. It's funny. I tell people this all the time when you come up, which is once in a while. So I remember this guy, Jason, and, we used to design stuff together. And I still, to this day, when I'm like designing something or developing something, I will use a certain color of font. I don't use black text because one day you told me we never use black text. So I still remember that. It's amazing the influence you have.
That's funny. Yeah, it's subtle. Now I'm not so micromanager either, though. Like back then, I wanted every little tiny element, which is a good lesson, Matt, because we had so little we could leverage technologically speaking on the internet in the early 2010s that every little bit counted. Yeah. These days, when you could build an Airtable and vibe code it and create a leaderboard for an affiliate contest, then it becomes less about the micro, it becomes more about the macro. Sure. But yeah, there was a period in time where I think the font color was 222. I think that was a hexadecimal.
It was. 100%.
Yeah, that was a hexadecimal. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's cool. So Before we dive into what we're going to talk about, we're going to actually talk about something you're building right now, which is perfect for the builders, right? We're going to get into strategy and the reasons behind that, and what you're doing. Before we do that, tell us maybe take 5 minutes and tell us a little backstory about Jason and who you are, and because that'll kind of inform what you're doing today. And
Yeah, so I got into this business in the weirdest way possible. I was a rapping Hare Krishna monk, which is it makes sense when you actually think about it. So music was always my first passion, and I was trying as best as I could to do music at a professional level. Now, prior to that, like I had a very difficult childhood growing up, very unstable environment. So I had a lot of issues, like emotionally, developmentally, from a depression standpoint, from a panic attack, anxiety standpoint, and so it frustrated me. I was about 20 years old. I'd kind of done music since I was 7. I was writing raps and performing raps in front of audiences, but I never really took it seriously because I just had so much trauma going on in my life. It was hard to focus. And then one of the musician guys I worked with, he went and he traveled with the Hare Krishnas, came back, told me about it. I said, hey, listen, I'm in about the worst mental place you could be in. I got nothing to lose. Let me try it out. And then my life got better, like almost immediately. Like within 1 month, I saw a significant improvement in my life to the point where I got clarity, and I was like, let me do something important. Let me do something at a big scale to honor the spirit that I am and where I come from the Creator, right? So I doubled down on the music, and I made it like my focus. So if I wasn't doing monk stuff, I was doing music stuff, and I pushed it really hard, and I got it as far as I could, but I wasn't doing really well with it. There's not really a market for people rapping that are monks from a small town in Iowa. But I was trying. So I was like studying how I could improve it. And then I got into the business concepts of music, which I had no taste for prior. And then when I got into business, I got into the marketing concept of it, which I just found fascinating once I learned about it. I applied the marketing to the music. It didn't work very well. So then I said, you know what? Let me try marketing other things, and then maybe that will give me the capital to put into the music to be successful. And I never got back to the music because when I started marketing other things to try to make some money, I just got caught up in the idea of that. And here I am now, really essentially 18 years later from that point in time, 19 years later, just going into the business. I started very small, Matt, where my first win in business was I tried affiliate marketing. So I'd write this content, post it on the internet, try to get links back to my website from Google, and then promote other people's stuff. And I would make like $100 a month, which wasn't enough, obviously. But because I had learned to develop this content, these articles, I created a little information program. Let me take a step back. I first started writing other articles for other people. So I'm like, I can't make money writing articles for myself, but I could trade time for money, write articles for other people. And I did that for 6 months and made some decent money. Like I'd make up to $40 an hour doing that, which for a small town Iowa boy was revolutionary, right?
Sure.
And then one day I decided to document how I was doing that. So I created a product, a very small product, about 6 pages long, sold it for $4, advertised it on a forum, an internet marketing forum, and I got my first 1,000 customers, and that completely changed my life. So I was just like, this is cool. I can create little tiny info products, sell them for really cheap prices. People were getting results with them, and I was making money. So I started doing that, and I kept doing that. And I got a little bit better each time I did that. And then I started adding competencies on top of that. Well, what if I make this next one an audio product and a written product, not just a written product? And what if I add video to that? And then one day I said, what if I train it on a webinar as opposed to just train it recording style? And then I did a live webinar where I just did training, no selling. And I was like, this is awesome. I want to do more of this. So then I did a series of webinars on a topic that people had to pay to attend. And I go, this is awesome. Then I said, what if I create a webinar that sells a series of webinars? And that worked really good. And so I said, okay, cool. I think I'm on to something. What if I use a webinar then to sell this thing, like software? That's where I started selling next. And that worked really well. I said, what if I used a webinar then to sell other people's products as an affiliate? And that worked really well. And so I just kept optimizing and improving my webinar process over time. So I started at the very beginning when webinars were first getting started. And I started with a blank slate because I didn't have any experience prior. So that allowed me to come in with a fresh set of eyes. And then I was able to spend a tremendous amount of time improving the craft over 18, 19 years. And that's how I became the best in the world at creating webinars that sell. And that's kind of the condensed journey of the version of who I am and how I've become who I am today.
That's amazing. Like, where does that drive come from? Like,
it's innate, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let me take a step back, right? There's a combination of factors. One of it is there's a dormant desire to grow. So I think some of it's cultural because I lived in France for about 4 months earlier this year. Long story.
Okay.
We'll get into it here, but and I spent another 3 months last year in various parts of Europe. And culturally, Europeans are very fascinating. I kind of envy them in some ways. Most of them are not motivated to make a lot of money. Like I had a physical trainer over there in double mastered trainer, physical, exercise me and beat my ass every day, right? And he has no desire to make more than 55 euros a session. Like he is completely content there. There's not that drive and that culture like there is in the US. So that helped me out. I've also just been very intensely interested in learning things. Just as far as I can remember, I've had an appetite for learning. And by the way, the best way to learn something is to teach it. So that makes me interesting. Right. That makes me interested to teach other people because then I learn. Both my parents were teachers, so I was raised by teachers. And then, all of that is just kind of stacks up and really connects it together. And then I had when I was about 9 years old, I was climbing this tree. It was a Sunday, and I fell out of this tree, and I ripped my hand open. I still have the stitches. It's hard to see on this camera, but right here, there's the stitches. And I fell down. I hit the ground, and I'm not crying because I'm like, God, I'm in shock, but I'm proud of myself because even though I'm in pain because I look down at my hand, there's a hole in it, and every time my heart beats, blood squirts out. Right? God. And I'm still not crying. I'm really proud of how I'm handling the situation. So I go to my dad and I say, Dad, I need help. And my dad looks at me and he gets really angry at me and he starts yelling at me. He says, you can't get hurt on a Sunday. We can't afford to go to the emergency room. And that's when I started crying because I felt so let down by my dad and his inability to give me what I needed at that time as a small, really helpless child, right? It was very traumatic. Right. And I made a vow that day. I said, I will never be in a position when I grow up ever in my entire life where if a child comes to me, my child comes to me and needs help, I will never be in a position where I will put them in the same position that I was in. Right. So I made an intention that day to make a lot of money at 9. So all of these factors, and again, like I said, I have also a drive. I've always been once I get interested in something, I want to know it and I want to become good at it if it interests me. And so all of those combinations of things, twisted together, is where this comes from. I think. Or no.
That's what made Jason. Yeah, it's sometimes a lot of that comes from negative experiences we've had, and just saying that's never going to happen again.
I call it turning adversity into alchemy, right? So it's often most of the highest performers I know, they do it to avoid a pain more than to gain a pleasure, and unfortunately, they never switch. So I've been fortunate enough to work through a lot of these issues that were traumatic for me. And now recalibrate my focus and desire on abundance and growth, not on moving away from pain. It's better to move towards something that's good than run away from something that's bad because you might run into something that's even worse.
Sure. Yeah, right. Yeah, you're setting yourself up. So, okay, so we know what's forged Jason. So tell us about what you're doing today. What do you have some big thing you're building? Where did that come from, and what's happening there?
So it's called Project Mona Lisa. That's the working name for it right now. I think we'll ship it. And here's kind of the foundation. The team came up with this idea, not me, is I've made this joke many years ago because very famous people that a lot of listeners would know have taken my webinar techniques and taught them as their own. It's an unfortunate reality in this space. So the way I would start to talk about that in public is like, hey, listen, you can Xerox the Mona Lisa, but it's not the Mona Lisa. So you're working off a Xerox copy of the Mona Lisa. Now you have the Mona Lisa. That was one of the kind of tongue-in-cheek jokes of how I would address the marketplace. Nowadays, it's kind of a done deal. People know where it comes from. They know I'm the Godfather. Like in the next generation, not my generation, but the generation after, they don't seem to have the issue giving credit like my peers would. And so the joke was, this is called Project Mona Lisa because I have the Mona Lisa of webinars. Now, I have not been the biggest fan of AI, Matt, up until about March of this year. Because every tool that I saw from the creative side, like I liked AI because it was a good companion for me. It was like, okay, I'm stuck on this idea. Help me sort through it and give me a little bit clarity. I need a couple examples here for this analogy that I'm making. Help stimulate it. So it was a good companion, but it wouldn't do things for me that would make me money. It allowed me to take things I was already good at with making money and help support them. Right. Which my whole thing, Matt, is I want to give my audience an advantage that's so great that even if they don't like me, they have to buy my product. Like that's my philosophy. So they like I want something. Yeah, it served me really well. Yeah, and they do like me, and I'm a likable guy, right? But it's like this whole concept of no like and trust. I always joked about it. I'm like, no, don't like and distrust, and still buy.
Still buy.
Because the offer's that good. Like, here's a thought experiment, Matt. Like, if I made something completely risk-free, you would buy it because you could never lose. You could only win. So you don't have to like me. You don't even have to trust me. If the risk mechanism is in place that doesn't require trust, like if it's a third party that supports it and it isn't me, as an example, right, then there's minimum or no trust required. So that's always been my philosophy. And the number one way that you make these killer offers and you create them is people will look at them and say, man, even if I screw everything up with this thing, I will still win. So that is more than anything what I try to do for myself and for my clients. That is 100% my attitude. I want something that's so undeniable that you will hate the fact that you have to pay me for it, but you will pay me for it because it's so good that there's no other reason that you're buying it. Like, it's not because we're best friends. It's not because I sent you through all these nurturing sequences or use brainwashing techniques or persuasion or any of that stuff. It's like you look at it and say, oh my God, only an idiot couldn't make this work. And I'm not an idiot, so I'll buy it. So that's the philosophy, right? And so I didn't see that with AI. What I would see with AI are things like, okay, listen, if you take this prompt and then you add this thing to it, and then you put this thing to it, and then you connect it to this other thing over here, and then you run it like 6 or 7 times to iterate it, and then the output comes, and then you judge the output, and then you refactor it and put it back in, then it's good. And I'm like, okay, great. But to the average user, that's not an advantage. That's a different set of chores they have to figure out. That might be an incremental improvement, by the way, but I don't want improvements that people have to squint to see. I want improvements that are so obvious that they could barely pay attention to them and get excited about them. And AI
just to interject real quick, I'm thinking about this from a coding perspective. I've used AI too quite a bit. And I've been using Cursor and AI is built into it and stuff. And it's kind of like when you say you're kind of trading, like it's not obvious that it's better because I sit here and iterate and it does things like, why did you do that? I'll say that to it. Like, why did you just do that thing? Oh, sorry. It apologizes to me. And so I could have, by the time we're done doing something, I might as well just have coded it myself at this point. Me and too, hopefully I get better, but yeah.
And here's the thing, like adoptions to new platforms, there's a lot of friction to adopt a new platform because the user looks at it and says, I got to learn a whole new interface. I got to sit down and focus on this thing. It's going to be painful until I customize it, set it up, configure it, and get used to it, which is true. Like
Yeah.
Amazon's biggest challenge with building their platform was getting somebody to create an account with it. Uber's biggest challenge was getting somebody to create an account with it. And so many people were late adopters. They knew Uber was an amazing technology. It was better than taxis. But dang it, you got to download an app and fill out a couple things, right? And then figure out the interface. And it's new and it's awkward and you've never experienced it before. So it's got to be such a compelling value proposition that you are willing to risk pain up front in order to get it. This is just buyer psychology, the finer points of it. So if I could even show these cool AI functions that would improve their capabilities by 10 or 15 or 20 or 30%, to me that wasn't enough. And especially if it required a lot of setup in order to get that 10 or 20 or 30% improvement. Even if it didn't, by the way. So the other thing is the customer has to appreciate the value from their lens, not from your lens, right? So if people are judging, say, like, what a good webinar script looks like, your average audience has no frame of reference of that. Like, you could show them two scripts. One could be a home run winner. One could be not so good. And at a glance, they wouldn't know or be able to appreciate the differences between those two things, right? And a lot of AI stuff was like that. Like, they couldn't appreciate the difference without a lot of education, a lot of specialization, and a lot of understanding. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're going after niche markets and you're at the beginning stage of your career, fantastic. Go after those already existing specialized markets. They're small, but they're hyper responsive. They will pay premium prices, and you don't need that many of them, right? If you can get 100 people to pay you $2,000, you're making a lot of money, right? I'm trying to reach mass markets. So when I do major launches and break records like I've done in the past, the idea is, how do I bring this to the average user so then that way I can reach 1 million of them potentially, as opposed to niches. So this is the things that are factoring through to me. So it's like, to write AI copywriting, compelling, persuasive copy and scripting, webinar or otherwise, the AI just wasn't there without an insane amount of prompting, pre-prompting. And by the way, it would shift. It was like building a house on sand. Every month, something would happen with the AI and you'd have to try a new thing. So it's an immature technology, which is also risky and very dangerous. The rules keep changing every week. So you're playing a game whose rules change. It's very dangerous. So I wasn't an early adopter, and I never have been. I've always waited for the market to prove itself and make the viability there, and then I pounce as fast as possible. So I'm a just-in-time adopter. And so for AI up until March, I had never seen an opportunity that at a glance I could see would be a game changer. Like, oh my God, I can give this one prompt, or I could speak into a microphone to dictate something in 20 seconds, rambling almost incoherently. Hey, I got this idea. I want to create this thing that does X, Y, Z, 1, 2, and 3. Figure this out for me, right? And off of one prompt, could I get higher quality output that somebody could appreciate immediately? And in March, that happened. So finally, I had that epiphany moment. And Matt, like, you would understand this because you know me, but most people might not. Like, I am very sought after as a marketing person to help people launch their stuff. So like Ezra Firestone is the top guy in e-commerce in terms of Shopify. The first ever Shopify approved program. This is a public company worth like billions of dollars, I believe, at this point in time. And Ezra is their poster child. When he had the first course that he ever launched in the e-commerce space, he brought it to us at Rapid Crush to be the exclusive marketing arm to push that product out, right? And we crushed it for him. When Alex Hormozi did his big book launch where he sold like hundreds of thousands of copies in the span of one short book launch, he hired me to do the consulting for that, right? I just did a deal with Iman Gaddazi, who's got 5.5 million subscribers on YouTube. We did a version 1 of his launch a couple weeks ago, and we pushed 500,000 people through that. The first 24 hours, we had 500,000 people view that webinar. We had 59,000 people live on day one. He's a co-owner of a platform. Go ahead.
And I know these guys appreciate you. Actually, Alex, I read a couple of his books.
Yeah.
And you were mentioned in there.
I'm the most quoted person.
He gives you credit. Yeah.
I'm the most quoted person and the inspiration, essentially, for $100 million offers, which is the best-selling book of all time on the concept of offers. And I'm the godfather of it. So, and with Iman, it was we set the single. So he just said it because I was just on a call with these guys this morning, and so WAP, who he's now a co-owner in, it's a marketplace. WAP processes $1.1 billion a year in sales of products. Right? We set. Okay, I'm going to read this. We set the 30-day sales record for a single product on WAP, and we did it in 48 hours and 19 minutes. So when we launched this webinar, this is a couple of weeks ago, within 48 hours and 19 minutes, we had broke the 30-day record of any product published on WAP, which is, again, a platform that does over $1 billion in sales per year, right? So when people want to really juice things, Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, I did the consult for their launch last year for the mastermind launch, right? So when people want to do things in the big way, there's a few guys in the world who they can call that can help them with that, and I happen to be one of them. So I've seen maybe 500 AI applications from people that are coming to me saying, Jason, I got the next greatest thing. Why don't we partner together? I will pay you a tremendous amount of money, give you equity, percentage, all that kind of stuff, if you will bless it with your marketing wisdom. And I have said yes to 0 of those platforms because if I don't have that advantage that we talked about, I don't want to play. So a lot of my success in this business, Matt, is I know when to engage. If I'm smart about anything, it's I don't play games which I lose. Like I only play games which I can win. That's why I win a lot. It's not so much because of the games I play. It's because of the games that I don't play. And I've had to learn that the hard way over the years. So I don't want to sell something that you have to squint to see the value. I want something that is such a game changer that even somebody who wasn't good could sell it well. So then you take somebody who is good, they can sell it extraordinarily well. So I saw this was possible with AI. And that got me to really start to hone in on this as working with the client that we're going to publish and we're going to market and be the marketing arm for. And so that allowed me to be all of a sudden become obsessed with AI, which I hadn't been previously. And I started playing with things and trying things now that I saw what was possible. It's like before I didn't think it was possible. Now I realize it was possible. Now that it is possible, let's do everything we can. So here's one of the things that I did, Matt. Go ahead.
I was just to say, what's making it possible? Is it a new model? Is it a new, is just a new?
I don't know. I don't know what's making it possible. It could be convergence of multiple technologies. It could be product updates, quality of life improvements, right? It could be the collective wisdom that somehow seep into the minds of all the communities. And so everybody's iterating off of everybody, and maybe it hit that threshold right now. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what it is, but I went from the day before seeing this AI demonstration, which, by the way, these guys, so I have a mastermind. It's called Driven Mastermind. I co-run it with Perry Belcher and Qasim Aslam. And it's $35,000 a year to be part of this mastermind. And one of the members, he created this AI stuff. And so he gets on a Wednesday call because we do calls every Wednesday, and he shows it. So before that, I did not think this was possible. After that call, I knew it was possible. So I reached out to him and said, let's do a deal. And so we negotiated it. We're 99.9% done with that deal. So this is me marketing somebody else's creation. And then once I started playing with his stuff, I said, now that I know it's possible, now I can solve for it. So then I started solving for it myself, right? So here's the biggest insight that I've discovered. AI plus proprietary knowledge equals advantage. So you got to have both. So these guys that we're going to partner with, they have proprietary knowledge. So on a copywriting standpoint, they've written copy like video sales letters and other types of very granular, focused, very specialized type of copy for some of the biggest names in the industry. Like they have ads now that are running that are producing $100,000 a day. So they have proprietary knowledge in a narrow field of copywriting, and they've developed the logic and the structure, and they've chunked it down and they've pieced it together. So they're using AI plus proprietary knowledge. So I have proprietary knowledge in the webinar space. Not only have I invented a majority of the techniques that almost everybody uses, I have techniques I've never taught anybody. Sometimes it's because I don't know how to teach it. Other
Right.
times it's because I've just invented it. So how could I teach it if I just invented it myself, right?
Yeah.
So I have massive proprietary knowledge, and I can combine it with AI in the right proper structure. So I don't rely on AI for more than the least amount of input necessary in order to get the result. So I can take my examples, I can take my scripts, and I can chunk them down to the narrowest degree. And we can talk about examples here in a second. And then I can build it. So I can test it, proof of concept, with prompt, like basic prompting. And then we can take those logic of those prompts and then build an interface and then automate it to be easy as possible for the user to use it. So now when I sell this product, I could say, hey, you want to create a webinar? Watch this. Push a button, output stuff that will instantly blow somebody's mind. And now I have my advantage. And up until recently, I don't think this was possible. But now not only is it possible, we've proven it internally. And now we are able to then start putting it into customers' hands. So we're gonna do a beta launch, which we can talk about here in a little bit. But the concept behind it is I am the most excited about anything I've ever been in my life as I am about Project Mona Lisa. I've essentially identified 16 components to what create a really powerful webinar. And then I'm able to chunk those 16 components down to narrow, specific AI scripts. And then there's ultimately about 40 different pieces. Within those 16 pieces in total, there's 40 inputs. Now, you don't want a user to put in 40 things, right? So we're able to minimize the inputs of that. But behind the scenes, underneath the hood, we are processing 40 sequences of events on a micro level and then outputting something that is better than what most people could do if they spent hours learning from me and then hours implementing it. Is it an A+, Jason Fladlien? No. It is an A-. However,
It's close. Yeah.
it has been done 10 times faster or 50 times faster. And it is also, I will use it. I will settle for an A- more than an A+, because now we can just launch 3 times as many webinars. And this is easy to prove, easy to show. This is what I like, and this is what I'm excited about. And so this is how we're building it right now. And now I have a whole philosophy on software, because we built a lot of software over the years. Like, we start with the minimum viable shippable product. So I don't want to build too many things before I can put it into people's hands and see how they use it. The mistake people make with software, Matt, or really anything for that matter, is they focus on the supply side and not on the demand side. So they say, okay, in order to do this, I got to create this thing, aka supply it. So I got to develop all this stuff, I got to make all these things, and then I will go out there and test demand for it. We start on the demand side. Before the product is even finished, we create demand for it, and then we put it in the hand.
By talking about it, or just
yeah. So
out
we're
there?
in the process of doing this right now. I posted it on Facebook the other day. I said, here's my big book of webinar closes. So I have a book of webinar closes that is like 7,700 words, so AKA proprietary data, right? I go, here's one prompt that I use. And so I said, when you upload this PDF and you use this prompt, it's going to ask you 2 questions. 1, what is the niche you're in? And 2, what is the objection that you're having? And then I type it in. And the objection would be like, it costs too much. And then it says, based upon the information you've provided for me, Jason Fladlien suggests you use this close. And then it puts the close in only language that I would use. In structure that only I would do, because only I know it. And then it fills it in, and I can show it. And so I'm teasing that right now. I'm like, look at what this thing can do. This isn't even the coolest thing that can do. If you're interested in being a beta tester of this thing, then I'm going to drop it soon. Let me know. So there's a lot of demos, slice of life demos, as I call them. Show one little cool thing in less than a minute that gets people excited and say, I want that. And then take those that are most eager to play with it. You can give it away for free if you're new. Me, I charge for it because I have the reputation. So I get paid to have people go through it, and 2 things happen. 1, I see the opportunities to optimize it even further, and 2, I get results. So I get proof. And then that proof is what we put into the promotion when we launch it in mass. I'm also leveraging a psychological principle that is, people want most what they can't have. So I want to be able to offer the software out to 1,000 people, but only 20 people get it. Because then the other people were like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. So we're ratcheting up demand ahead of supply. So these are some of the strategies that we can use.
No, that's incredible. I love. Okay, so just rewinding for a second. I think just what really grabs me here, and I've seen you operate. I've seen you do things over the years, and you're always coming out with these amazing ideas. It's like, how do they just consistently come out with incredible stuff and have these incredible successful launches and deals and things you're doing? And it's in this short conversation, it's kind of making sense to me, because you don't just jump on everything. You wait for that thing that's super, like, just clear. Like the fact that you waited on AI and you're here and you see this demonstration, and now the next thing, that's it. It's time and you're going. But it was crystal clear to you. And
yeah.
I would imagine, like, in every single case that, you're just, like I said, there's a lot of bad ideas. And when you told me, like, yeah, you probably, people are sending you hundreds or thousands of ideas constantly. And you're just, which is actually, you're in a unique position that way. Because you're able to just be like, nope, yes.
I mean, the answer is always a conditional. If you can get it to X, Y, and Z, then I would love to do it. Like, it is just not there,
Yeah.
It's just not there for most of them. Yeah. So,
so you're at this stage where you're teasing it out there, and that's obviously that's creating excitement in the marketplace, and and that's something that's age old. I've been around a few years myself, 20 years. I was probably doing marketing online before you were. I've never found the same success as you have, but and that's that whole, like, creating demand thing. I've seen it play out. I've done a little bit of it myself. And that's incredible in it. And, but now, so you're actually creating pieces, minimal viable pieces of this, sharing it, getting people to use it, getting the feedback, tweaking, figuring out and then you figure out the offer from there. And then you'll come in and, I imagine you're how will you promote this product? And do you bring in partners? Do you get affiliates? What's your model there?
I mean, historically, we would get affiliates. We will do some of that still, but the market is shifting away from that as a primary way of pushing it. So it's going to be a lot more social. Yeah, we're going to use a lot more social this time than we've done in the past. I have another partnership with Onyx and Gall where we're going to be launching a new webinar training program. He's going to spend all the money on the advertising because that's our weakness, is we're not really good on the paid traffic side. So that is a rising tide that should lift all of the boats. So if we get a whole bunch of leads on the side of the program that we're selling for webinars, then the demand for the software will go up. But we're also going to build virality into the software. So something that I did in 2010 that worked really well, and then we moved away from it. I don't know why. Like when we did WP Twin, so this was a product that, this is how Will and I, my business partner, started working together. One of the things that I had a keen awareness of that worked really well is I knew that a software interface is also an advertising space. So if every time somebody logged in to use the software, I could put a message that could market to them. But you don't want to piss people off when they buy a product by marketing to them. So the way that I did it was we would automatically create an affiliate account for any customer who bought from us. And then every time they used the script, they would say, hey, listen, you can make money telling other people about this script. Here's your link. Just give them your link. So again, least amount of friction possible, right? And that created a lot of virility because people would use it. They would like it. They would use it 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times. By the 10th time seeing the message, they're like, hey, I should just put it out there. And then they would. So I will use strategic positioning and elements like that to create virility. You can utilize, I love the Dropbox model, where if you share it with a friend, you get increased space and so does your friend. Share this with a friend, you get increased usage and so does your friend. Those are the kinds of things that I'm really excited to explore. But I'm not really, I don't plan too far ahead, Matt. Like I know the different leverage points if they present themselves that I could utilize. And then I observe if they show up. So if they show up, then I hop on the ones that have the biggest amount of leverage. So like I would love to partner with a platform like a Zoom, and I've done training for Zoom in the past, and be like, how do we get our thing in your thing? So if that pops up, or if I can simulate some of that, fantastic. Doing a lot more social now, putting it on a social on a regular basis is going to be helpful. Putting things in front of it, all the standard marketing stuff that's required. But we try to create a story that unfolds in real time when we market it. So if I'm going to take on these initial 20 people or whatever I take on, we're going to document the results. Everybody's going to see it. Everybody's going to hear about it. Then we're going to come back and continue the story. We thought this was going to occur, but then that occurred. And what occurred was even cooler than what we thought. But maybe we got lucky. So let's try it again. I'll take on 40 instead of 20 this time. We'll see if we can replicate those results. We come back, hey, the results were even better than before. And we added this, this, and this to it. So we're always having news to feed back into the marketplace. And that keeps it fresh and exciting. It keeps it topical. It keeps people talking about it. So all of the above, right? We will use all of the above to get it out there.
That's amazing. It sounds so fun. It must be fun to be in a room when you guys are strategizing. And
blast, yeah.
Yeah. And this seems like it's perfect for you because there's so much alignment here with what your expertise in webinars and being able to provide a tool like this. It just all makes sense, which is fantastic. So this has been really good. I'm kind of buzzing. You got me excited. I want to go out and create a new product myself. I got to figure it out. I think AI can do it. Actually, it's funny. I just bought a domain. Maybe you guys are the same way. Once in a while, you just buy domains because you got an idea and you're just like, Is there a domain for this idea? Mine's unifiedlabs.ai. So watch unifiedlabs.ai. Unified Labs, Unified Web Design, Unified Labs. We're going to get into AI a little bit, and I'm kind of going in that direction myself. So what is, if somebody wants to learn more about what you're doing and get kind of involved or get involved in your communities? I love seeing you out on social media. I'm on YouTube. I follow you. I'm seeing you in different. I'm not as much on Facebook though. I heard you're pretty big on Facebook. I got to check.
Yeah,
it out.
Just started. I've been off social for 8 years, and then the beginning of this year I started doing that. Yeah, so
I love it. I love seeing your face pop up all the time.
I don't know why I never was
Jason
there. Right? Being so far behind the scenes and achieving the results that I did is a miracle. But hey, it's the year of the brand. Like personal branding has now become the most important thing, I think, to anybody, really. Even if you're not doing business, even if you're just somebody listening, to increase your financial future, you should do personal branding, even if it just helps you land a job. Yeah, I think you have to do personal branding these days, which is a newer thing. So, I'm out there struggling and failing in public on the personal branding side, but I'm learning a lot.
That's hard. Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I know I will.
Hey, you're doing it.
I'll
just
run out of
action.
Fail, and then success is inevitable. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I kind of do the same thing. I've always, for whatever reason, I've had the personal brand thing on the side, even though I'm, got the agency and everything. But it feels right. But if somebody wants to learn more about you, where do you hang out? Where's the best place for them to reach out or find you? Got a website?
Yeah. JasonFladlien.com. Go there. It has the links to all my socials. So hit me up on the social that you prefer. Be my friend there. I need the followings right now for the algorithmic love. If you want to get my book, again, link on the website. It's on Amazon. It's called One to Many. It's the best-selling book on the topic of webinars, and it has helped so many people. And I think it's like $10 for the Kindle version. I think that's what we sell it for on Amazon.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks very much for your time, Jason. It's been a real pleasure. Until next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And Unified Plugins offers tools to take your WordPress projects to the next level, helping you build beautiful websites, enhance functionality, and drive more conversions. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with somebody who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building with intention and creativity.